The other football news is Emmett Jones's heater continues. Let's talk a little recruiting, Ted. Emmett Jones gets a commitment from Cortez Mills, 6'1", 180-pound wide receiver out of the state of Florida, chooses OU over Nebraska, LSU, and Clemson. Depending on where you look at the rankings, I mean, this is a guy that is arguably a top 10 wide receiver in the class of 2025. I believe 24/7 Sports has him as the 88th overall ranked player. You start look at the wide receiver class that Emmett Jones is stacking with Elijah Thomas, with Cortez Mills, with Marcus Harris, with Grayson Harris, and Emmanuel Choice. We've talked a lot about those guys, but these guys are from all over, Ted. That's the impressive part. You're talking Oklahoma, Florida, California, Texas. I mean, Emmett Jones is going anywhere and everywhere to find these guys, and man, he's just doing a fantastic job. We cannot compliment this guy enough.
No, it's really impressive, and I he's put together some really good classes and really good portal acquisitions as well. I I I can't think of a time where and we'll see how the production ends up, but just like as far as a group recruiting wise and where they're ranked, so to speak, it feels like the entire wide receiver group, the position group, maybe the best it's ever been as far as talent. I mean, it is loaded.
I I really liked LaDamian Washington. I enjoyed talking to the guy. I think that he's going to do really, really good things as a college football coach. I'm not sure I realized at the time just how significant of a hire Emmett Jones was.
Mm-hmm.
And the attitude that that guy brings to that room, it just brings to the entire football team, not just the offense, but just the entire football team. And just, he is not afraid of the grind of recruiting.
Nope.
He's exactly the type of guy you need on a staff. And man, the results just speak for themselves. Now, of course, he's got to develop these guys, turn them into really good players, turn them into NFL players, like all that stuff, of course. But man, he has been a big time acquisition to Brent Venables' staff.
It's been incredible, and the proof will be in the pudding. We'll see. Like I said, I think I can't think of a time where the wide receiver core, like as deep as they are from first guy to last guy, had this much talent. And maybe there's some years, but I think production wise, I mean, when you think about the four or five top guys that may get the most run this year, I mean, size wise, athleticism, speed, you can check every single box with those guys. Uh, it would be a disappointment for me if by the end of this season, they're not getting some of the talks as one of the better wide receiver core, maybe the best wide receiver core in the country. That's how I feel about them talent wise. Do we hit that? We'll see. A lot of things have to go right offensively to get the most out of your wide receiver group. But if some other boxes we're able to check those on the offense, the wide receivers should have just a blow up season.
If if they don't, that means, well, it really means one of two things, or maybe it could be both things. It means the offensive line did not come together and play at a high level, or it means Jackson Arnold's really struggling.
Mm-hmm. Which those two things, they don't have to be linked, but they'll make each other worse.
Yes, there. It feels like there's definitely a correlation
Yeah.
there, but yeah, if the wide receivers don't put up big numbers, it's alarming because you look at the room, you look at the talent, you look at the different body types. I know they're going in the SEC. They're going to be playing against better players in conference play week in and week out. I get that, but with the dudes they have in that room, they should put up big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, you and I are going to be doing a lot of sad podcasts. And I don't want to do that again. I don't want to repeat what we did 2 years ago, Ted. We were so sad all the time.
No, I'm with you. We're not going to. It's going to be a great year.
So Emmett Jones is doing a fantastic job, and so is Brandon Hull. That's our guy. Ted B. Hall is our guy, but he's done and continues to do such a nice job stacking talent in that safety room. Omarion Robinson committed. This is a 6-foot safety out of the state of Arkansas, arguably the number one prospect in Arkansas. He chooses OU over Arkansas, Oregon, and LSU. Ted, it's always good when you go in to a state that has an SEC team and you take the top ranked player out of that state. Always a good thing.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, but have to make the point. It wasn't very long ago at all that we had no chance to go into SEC territory for a highly recruited defensive player and beat out SEC schools or an Oregon, an LSU for a defensive player. It just didn't happen. We were recruiting a different level of player because we weren't winning those battles. So, I mean, you just have to look there, and it is happening now routinely on both sides of the ball. And the safety position, Brandon Hall, the guy is made for recruiting. He's just an all around. He's like the best guy to talk to. He could talk to anyone. He's a hell of a football coach too. I'm just talking about the recruiting side of things. What he's done with the safeties at Oklahoma, just talking about the wide receiver core, I definitely do not ever remember a time that the safety position has looked like it looks right now. It is incredibly deep. We have so many good players that it's like, how are you going to get guys on the field? Peyton Bowen's 5-star safety. Where's he going to play? Like, where are you going to play him right now? There's battles all over the place. There's battles at nickel, at the 2 safety spots. Whenever they're bringing an extra DB, I guess the 6 DB in. Whenever they go with the dime stuff, there's incredible battles there. You got guys like, is Boganowski, can he play backer? And he's like a perfect guy that can play all of those positions. Maybe he ends up a cheetah, but the body types, the big physicality, it's really impressive. And like, to the point, whenever people are talking about Oklahoma, they do not recognize how much better what the roster looks like now compared to what it did only a short time ago.
A lot of shirtless pics out there at the safeties. saw that on the timeline quite a bit. And yeah, we have to look at them. It is what it is. It's not weird. There's a reason they're putting them out. Okay. It's fine. This is the way we can frame it. The body type, the length. It's in a better position than it's been in a long time in the safety room, Ted. I got to assume that's why whoever's putting the social media, whoever's taking those pictures of those guys in the workouts, that's what they're trying to get across when they send them to the guys to tweet them out, or the official OU football account tweets them out. They want us to know that the body type has changed at the position. That's my assessment of why they're putting out all the shirtless pics of the safeties.
And I love how it's like, we're going to decide off of a picture who's had a good offseason and who hasn't. Right?
Yeah. Billy Bowman, incredible offseason. Look at him.
He's had a great offseason. He's put on some muscle. He's trimmed up. Like, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but that's what we're gonna say.
It's not weird, guys. It just is what it is. Football, it's a game of physicality. It's a game of measurables, right? So we're all looking at the same stuff. It's not weird. It's not weird at all. Right. Let's get to call your shot, Ted. We asked you guys the most important thing that happened for OU football this week, and we got a lot of answers along the same line here. And this one comes from Carter J. who says, "We missed on a highly ranked offensive lineman again. Coach B may be one of the best developers in college football, but until we start landing studs, we are going to be behind the eight ball." So this is clearly in reference to Lamont Rogers out of Mesquite choosing Missouri over OU, Texas, Texas A&M. I think was also in the fold there, but I think that I think that OU fans have. I don't know. They're very pessimistic when it comes to landing the top offensive tackle recruits. Ted, now the Sooners still have two targets left when it comes to Michael Fasusi and Andrew Babalola. But yeah, Rogers chooses Missouri. It it is what it is, man. I don't know. You weren't going to land all three of those guys, but it's important. Now they've already got Foje, but it is important that they land Fasusi or Babalola. Or gosh, could you imagine if they landed both? That'd be fantastic. But
That would be.
it just it is what it is, and this is it feels like NIL at work. And I'm not saying that Lamont Rogers only is going to Missouri over Oklahoma just because of NIL. I don't know that. I don't know what it all went into his decision making, but you're just not seeing a ton of schools stack three or four elite guys at one position, right? That's just I feel like that's just not going to happen with the current system we have in college football. Maybe I'm an idiot, but that's just kind of how I feel about it, Ted.
No, I mean it feels more like free agency, doesn't it? You kind of have maybe the elite player or two at a couple of different position groups goes somewhere and kind of sets the market, and then you like see everything kind of fill in behind. And I'm sure it's no different for the offensive line. I still feel really good about where we're at with Fasusi. You mentioned Babaloa. I I imagine they're going to get one of those guys. I guess you never know, but I think the staff has felt pretty good about where they sit. And I don't know about like if the Lamont Rogers was one that they really expected to land, and if it came as a shock to them that he went to Missouri. I don't know exactly where they were on that, but I do think they feel pretty good about what the offensive line haul is going to look like this year. I mean, Foger's a good player. You got the kid from Utah committed. You add another good tackle to that mix. That's a hell of a year, recruiting. And I know that people, for whatever reason, Beaton Bow gets a hard time in recruiting. I think the transfer portal has kind of put them in a bad spot where they're kind of in the never ending cycle now of where they've had to address it a couple of times to go to the transfer portal, and you don't get the good development of the younger guys, and it can hurt you a little bit. So the Caden Green going to Missouri, like, we can't forget that we landed a 5-star tackle at that spot too, and he transferred away, which that stuff happens. But let's not forget that Bill's put together a couple of good classes too. I think the class of guys that just showed up on campus is going to be really good. I mean, there's some really good potential in that group as well. So I'm not on board of the Bean Bow hate train when it comes to recruiting. I don't think it's accurate.
I think Bill is he is created this problem for himself by developing guys and putting them into the NFL.
4 tackles drafted in 2 years. I mean, it kind of decimates what you got depth wise.
Well, and that's you got to remember, Anton Harrison could have come back for another year. Tyler Guyton could have come back for another year. Those guys went in the first round. It's hard to replace first round tackles. It just is. But I think what feels like a disconnect is how he's developing guys and where they're getting drafted and the star ranking of recruits that are being brought in. And I understand that. But I just am going to continue to have faith in Bill Bedenbaugh. He's going to, whatever guys end up wanting to come play for him, he's going to develop them into really, really good football players, really good offensive linemen. That's what I know. Now, would I love it if he could bring in a guy like Michael Fasusi that has those measurables and that level of talent, or a guy like Babalola that has that, those movement patterns? Yes. I think he can do a lot with those guys. I think, like, if you look at Fasusi, and I've watched his highlight tape, that's all I have to go off of. But there are clips. He's got the movement of an elite tackle. He's got a lot of technical flaws. He hops instead of stepping. He plays too high. He doesn't bend at the knees well enough. He doesn't use his hands very proactively. But he shows some flashes where I believe if Bill could teach him the techniques that he teaches, that he could become a great player. He'll get his hands right. He'll get his feet right. Jerry Schmidt will take care of everything that he needs to take care of in the weight room. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Michael Fasusi, if he comes and plays for Bill Bedenbaugh, will be an early round tackle. But Ted, there's just a lot of factors now when it comes to recruiting guys.
Yep.
And it's hard to predict which factors mean the most to which guys. It's just I don't know. But yeah, there's no doubt that Bill Bedenbaugh, he needs to continue to land highly ranked guys because those guys are more physically gifted than other guys. But you look at a guy like Babalola, like, I think that he has the movement patterns of a tackle that could be a very, very good player. He's probably needs a little more strength development, a little more explosiveness work than Fasusi needs, but I liked both of those guys. If they land both of them, amazing. If they land one of them, great. But it's just, tackle has become such a premium position in recruiting. And with the NIL piece of it, man, it's hard to land those guys. It just is.
And it's interesting because I think we've seen with like the NIL and like the way that recruiting has gone. It's, I guess, like the NIL deals for players that are coming out of high school, receiver, running back, some of these spots, you see those guys in action right away, right? There's no like formula necessarily for like tackle. It just takes longer. Not that it's never been done as a freshman, early arrival guy, just step out there, start playing. It has been done, but it's not, there's way more to it to see all of it come to fruition, I think, with tackle, which can lead people to believe that you're not recruiting as good at a position. It's just the overall hit rate isn't nearly as high because you're teaching what you talk about is it's an unnatural athletic movement, and not everyone grabs it like the other guys do.
Yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening with those two guys, Fasusi and Babalola. I understand the reaction of OU's fan base to Rogers picking Missouri, but just, hey guys, let's see what happens. Okay. And this is the bottom line. Oklahoma has one of, if not the best offensive line coach in all of college football. So just remember that. Just remember that. If Bill Bedenbaugh wanted to go somewhere else, he could go pretty much anywhere else in the country. So I'm just saying, he is embracing the NIL piece of recruiting. Like, he has made that a point of emphasis. He's gotten better about that. Just I don't want to say take it easy because I don't need to say that for Bill, but just realize what you got, people. Just realize what you got.
Let me ask you this, and maybe you haven't seen enough of these guys to make like how you would legit pick it, but between Lamont Rogers, Fasusi, and Babalola, is there one that you like? How would you rank those three in your mind?
That's an interesting. I probably, and it's not just because he picked Missouri, I probably would have Rogers third in that list. And
He's a giant, right? That
yeah,
maybe doesn't move like these other two.
enormous.
Yeah.
I've talked about this a lot on here. I like guys that can really move. I like give me the athletic tackle every day of the week. And that's why Babalola really stands out to me. Just the way he's able to move. Now, I think he will take more time than Fasusi. There are a couple clips of Fasusi where he is moving, moving.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just there's and they're probably not the clips that would stand out to other people. All the ones of him, pancaking guys and doing that stuff are probably the ones that catch other people's attention. There's these couple clips of him running in space and the way that he's moving, like that's what catches my attention. Babalola's got a lot of those where he moves like a smaller human being. But I also think that he is, he's got a long way to go technically and needs to add a lot of strength. So I feel like if you guarantee me 3 years with the guy, I would probably take Babalola over Fasusi. But I think Fasusi could get on the field before Babalola if you got him. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
I
But
like I am a sucker for big people that move like little people. Because I believe you can be taught the technique. Both guys have good attitude. Like they finish a lot of blocks. You go look at their highlight tapes. They're burying guys in the ground. That's great. They're also bigger and stronger than a lot of the guys that they're blocking. I just I'm about the movement patterns,
mhm.
like the overall athleticism. I think the other stuff can be taught, and that a lot of it has to do with my experience. Playing with. Let's be real, some of the best tackles that have ever played football. And
Mhm.
guys like Trent Williams in college, Lane Johnson in college, got to see Joe Thomas when I was in Cleveland. And those guys all have something in common. They're just really good athletes.
Mhm.
The technique came, they developed the strength. They're just really, really good athletes that can move. And so that's kind of where the mold I look for in an offensive tackle it's heavily influenced by those type of guys.
No, that makes sense. Makes sense. So we still got some great options out there.
Yes, fantastic options. I
Good.
think if you land one of those two guys, you're feeling really good. If you land them both, my goodness, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. If you,
But
whew,
it's not
they,
gonna be easy. Not gonna be
no,
easy. This is a competitive market with no cap.
that's right. That's right. And they just they don't make very many guys like that. So there's always going to be, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, there's always going to be a bidding war. Everyone wants those guys. So we'll see if we can pull it off. Be huge.